What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another Comically Boston Monday morning podcast where every Monday we discuss the last week in nerddom. And it was a pretty solid week for news, but there was like big topics like the Dune Part 3 trailer, Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer that dropped last week. Over the weekend I went and saw Project Hail Mary. So in today's episode that we'll talk a little bit of the brief news from last week, and then we'll talk a little bit about Dune Part 3, my spoiler-free thoughts on Project Hail Mary, Ryan Gosling potentially being the Ghost Rider of the MCU, Spider-Man Brand New Day, that trailer of course, so we'll talk briefly about that as well, but if you want to see in-depth videos on those, they're already up on the channel. And then Daredevil Born Again Season 2 drops tomorrow, so we'll discuss that a little bit more, and my excitement heading into that season. And then to end out today's show, we'll discuss the 3 Untitled Marvel projects that just got added to the release slate and just got their own release dates. And we'll discuss what movies those could potentially be. But just to jump right on into the news today, we start with some solemn news for our boy Chuck Norris. I believe he was 86 when he passed away the other day, and I remember seeing the report and it said like Chuck Norris hospitalized after medical emergency, and then the next day they announced that he passed, and I was like, oh no, Chuck Norris, he probably passed, came back to life just to kill himself, you know what I mean? Like, that's the type of style Chuck Norris had. Countless jokes for Chuck Norris, you know what I mean? Like, I was once bit by a cobra, and after 5 long agonizing days, the cobra died. You know, like, Chuck Norris is one of those guys, man, you know, just a iconic individual, and he will be missed by many, I'm sure. Although, I've never actually seen a serious Chuck Norris movie, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty sure there's a movie back in the day where it's Chuck Norris versus, like, Bruce Lee or something, but I don't know if that's a real thing or not. But if there's any, you know, Chuck Norris movies or shows or something out there that you can recommend if you're a Chuck Norris fan, please drop those down in the comment section below. But another thing that came out over the last week was a Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord trailer, and I did a breakdown for that that's currently up on the channel. And that's coming to Disney Plus April 6th, and that's going to be another animated Star Wars show, much like Clone Wars and Bad Batch and the Rebels. And yeah, continuing on Maul's story there, and he's going to be going up against the Empire, and I guess we'll figure out what happens from there, but I'm certainly excited about that. I love Darth Maul as a character, and I love Star Wars, so heading back into some Star Wars movie and, you know, having a show to watch, but we're going to have a Star Wars movie in theaters in May. Can't wait to have more Star Wars back in my life. But on the other end of the spectrum, over at Warner Brothers, David Zaslav has been dealing with the Paramount Warner Brothers merger, and apparently he's about to make off like Dr. Friggin' Evil, this 4-eyed computer robot fuck, and he will receive $887 million in compensation for this merger. Meanwhile, thousands of people will be expected to lose their jobs in layoffs after the merger closes. Now, and there's tons of people trying to veto this merger, but this guy almost making $900 million, almost $1 billion, just for the company to merge, and then he'll probably not have to be the boss of Warner Brothers anymore, and he'll just fucking dip off into the sunset with almost $1 billion, while all these people go, you know, lose their jobs, and this guy's sitting in cash. And show me one movie that David Zaslav's made. He hasn't done shit, and he's got billions of dollars just for sitting at the top of this company being a robot. Like, fuck David Zaslav. Like, I saw this report the other day, and I've never been so angry. Like, and I know it's a real report because it came from Deadline, is the source, and it's like, what a bunch of fucking cowards over there trying to, you know, Paramount cowards, Warner Brother dealing with David Zaslav, cowards dealing with cowards, just trying to pocket cash in their own pockets. Like, I really hope it doesn't go through. Like, I was kinda, like, I didn't want it to go through, but I was kinda more here for Netflix Warner Brothers, but now that it's Paramount Warner Brothers, I hope this gets vetoed hard, and, you know, it's too much of a monopoly or something, and they get vetoed by, like, the whatever, Supreme Court or whoever vetoes it. But yeah, this no good over there. Nothing good can come from that Paramount Warner Brothers merger. And like rumor has it that James Gunn might want to leave if that is the case and they get bought by Paramount. I certainly hope not. I mean, if there's one thing that needs to happen from this merger, it's DC Studios, and James Gunn needs to stay doing what he's doing, you know? They can't just take the feet out from under him right as he's getting started, right? Like, it would be one thing if he was already down the line and they're canceling his universe, much like Zack Snyder's Justice League, but he just started. And like, if you stop it now, that's just, we're never going to get to see what it could have been, you know? Like, that would be so disappointing in every way. But moving on into some hopefully more cheery news for some people and anybody that's a Incredibles fan. Incredibles 3 got a release date just recently, and Disney and Pixar announced that this film will be coming June 16th of 2028. So 2 years out. So over the next couple of years, they shall be developing and working on Incredibles 3. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I've actually seen Incredibles 2. You know, I think I have, but maybe only like once, you know, and I feel like I should have saw it multiple times by now, you know, considering growing up I saw the Incredibles movie probably 200 times, but that's just what time in movies do to you, you know. If it comes out in 2000, you know, I watched a bunch of movies from 2000, 2010, but I just rewatched all those movies, you know, and now with streaming and everything, I'm not really rewatching stuff anymore. If I've seen it, you know, I'm on to the next thing I haven't seen, you know what I mean? But I guess that's just me. Comment below, should I go do an Incredibles trilogy rewatch when this movie comes out 2 years from now? But a movie that's coming later this year, and another movie that's going to be right around Christmas. So, you know, coming out December, 18th, I think it is. We have Dune Part 3 and Avengers Doomsday coming out together for Doomsday, you know, kind of like the Barbenheimer thing all over again with those two ginormous movies. But another film coming out around that Christmas time, I think this is more like December 28th maybe, but either way, this is Robert Eggers' werewolf film, and I think this has Aaron Taylor-Johnson in it, and a pretty decent cast. But he's coming off of doing Nosferatu, which was a super dark movie, but also like really good but creepy. So I'm thinking that this werewolf movie could be done incredibly well, and from things we know about it, it's set in like the medieval times with period accurate dialogue, and he said that this is the darkest movie he's done. So, you know, I haven't seen all of his work, but I know like The Lighthouse, I think, and Nosferatu were both very dark movies. So if this movie's even darker, oof. But I love a good werewolf. So like, I don't know, Aaron Taylor-Johnson maybe being the werewolf, medieval times, Robert Eggers. I think this is going to be a banger. I wish it was coming out more like Halloween time, but fuck it. I'll fuck up my whole Christmas vibe to go see a werewolf movie, and I'm going to be totally down for it too. You know, and they shot this film all on real locations up deep in the trees and mountains and shit. So like, you know, the crew had a tough time, but apparently everybody was really jazzed about what they were able to accomplish with this film. And from the one like puppet of the werewolf I saw, it looks really good. You know, it's maybe the second best werewolf I've ever seen, other than American Werewolf in London. But like, that was in the 80s. So like, if we're talking Robert Eggers is doing American Werewolf in London, but with today's technology and doing it that well, I'm here for it, man. I really am. But comment your thoughts down below about some werewolf films. But moving on into some Dune Part 3, and we'll just shuffle through a bunch of these character posters here. Of course, we got Timothée Chalamet, and he looks like he's got some scarred eyes in this poster, and maybe book readers might know what that means. And then, of course, we have Chani, Zendaya's character. She looks like she's got some scars on her face, but still has those blue eyes. Rebecca Ferguson, of course, with the tattoos all over her, and I don't think she's going to be in the movie very much, but nevertheless, Rebecca Ferguson returning for Dune Part 3. Of course, our boy Stilgar, Javier Bardem, is returning as Stilgar, and he covered in mud, and he's been fighting this war for Paul, so who knows what's going to be happening there. But The next character is a bit of a spoiler for anybody that doesn't want to know, but it is confirmed that Jason Momoa is returning as his character Duncan Idaho from the first film, but maybe a clone of some sorts, and maybe not quite the same Duncan Idaho from the first film, but nevertheless, Jason Momoa returning. And then a new character, Robert Pattinson, is going to be playing this, like, face shifter named Skytel or something like that. But either way, he's going to be like the villainous character of this movie, and he's kind of like, you know, reminded me of Austin Butler's Fade Rafa from Dune Part 2, so that's kind of like his character for the third movie, I'm thinking. And then we have a completely covered in dirt or ash or whatever Florence Pugh, and she looks stunned as hell to be covered in this ash or clay or whatever it is. And then we see our final poster of Anya Taylor-Joy's character covered in blood as she's screaming into camera with her blue eyes. And there will be a time jump because she was a fetus in the womb last movie, so there will be some type of time jump. I think it's supposed to be like 17 years or something like that to be able to age up Anya Taylor-Joy so that she is age appropriate in this film, but also not have Timothée Chalamet be too old so that, you know, he's aged out of the role, you know what I mean? But still, very insane that Jason Momoa's character is back, and in that trailer we see him and Paul fighting, and it's like, dude, that scene's gonna break me. But Dune Part 3 looks incredibly good, and like I said, it's coming out the same day as Avengers Doomsday, so that could either be a serious problem, or, like, you know, maybe Avengers Doomsday decides to move dates, but at the current moment, they're both holding strong on that date, and yeah, we might have a Barbenheimer all over again, but instead with two ginormous movies like Dune Part 3 in Avengers Doomsday. Oof. But moving on a little bit, we went to the movies over the last weekend, my mother's sister and my roommate and I, and we went and saw Project Hail Mary, which has been getting great reviews, and many people are saying it's the best film of the year. And it is early, it's only March, but it is 100% the best 2026 film I've seen of the year, for sure. And, you know, Ryan Gosling is in rare form, and not even rare form, honestly. It's actually like his peak form, where like he is perfectly suitable for this role. He can do the serious moments, he can do the heartfelt moments, he can cry and you feel the emotion, you know, but he can do funny and dumb funny and just like funny so well, you know. Like, I was laughing this whole movie at Ryan Gosling, and I don't know if it's just his humor works particularly for me. Like, even like The Fall Guy, the last movie he did with Emily Blunt, I thought was incredibly funny, and like, I am so here for him. And like, I can't help but think of like The Nice Guys 2, or they never got a sequel, The Nice Guys with him and Russell Crowe, and like Russell Crowe snaps his arm and he you know, lets out this high-pitched scream. There's like a few moments where, like in this, where Ryan Gosling is in space alone, but something happens and you hear him let out this high-pitched scream all by himself, and I was dying laughing at this film, man. But it had so much heart too, and it was really good. And the Rotten Tomatoes score debuted very well, but currently is sitting at a 95% critic score, certified fresh, with 212 reviews, and its audience score with over 2,500 reviews is sitting at a 98% audience score, and it's a 2-hour and 36-minute movie. So, you know, it does feel a touch long at certain parts, and I will talk more in depth about this film in a movie review for it coming out Wednesday, so if you want to hear my full thoughts on this film, watch that video on Thursday. But I will just say I really enjoyed it, and I was watching a bunch of the press videos for Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling talking, and I was watching the Josh Horowitz podcast, Happy, Sad, Confused, and he mentioned Ghost Rider to Ryan Gosling, and this has been a character that Ryan Gosling's been wanting to play for some time now, and I thought his response was really interesting, because Horowitz asked him, have you and Kevin Feige or Marvel had talks about playing the character? And Ryan did confirm that they had talks, but he isn't the character at the current moment, because he said it's complicated. Now, why would Ghost Rider as a character that Marvel hasn't used be complicated? Now, is that because they're bringing back Gabriel Luna's Ghost Rider from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider from his movies for Avengers Secret Wars or Avengers Doomsday? Or is Ghost Rider Nicolas Cage or somebody else, maybe even like a Keanu Reeves has been cast as Ghost Rider for, like, say, a Midnight Suns, you know, because that was also said to be in development, and maybe they're scrapping Blade movie and making it into a Midnight Suns. I wouldn't mind that, but like people in the Midnight Suns I want to see Ghost Rider, I want to see Blade, I want to see maybe Doctor Strange in that mix, I certainly want to see Moon Knight in that mix. I feel like he fits in quite well. Werewolf by Night and Elsa Bloodstone and Man-Thing, all from the Werewolf by Night special presentation. All of those guys, I think, fit into the Midnight Suns quite well. So, like, that's kind of the team I want to see. But that Ghost Rider could be Nicolas Cage. It could be that guy from Gabriel Luna from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Or it could be a different Ghost Rider, and we get our own Ghost Rider from the MCU, played by Ryan Gosling. And I think that would be a funny character, but he would also be a badass character, and you'd, like, see him and be like, dude, he's so cool. But also, like, Ryan Gosling would bring humor and fun to that character, but also it can be a solid, sturdy guy as well. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Ryan Gosling in Drive. Like, he's capable. He's a phenomenal actor. Or even like a Blade Runner 2049. Like, Ryan Gosling can do serious also, you know, but he's also incredibly good at humor. So, like, it's good to have both of those things, you know? But comment below your thoughts. Would you accept Ryan Gosling as Ghost Rider? I think I would. Alright, we're almost done, folks. Just to talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day, Daredevil Born Again briefly, and then we'll discuss what we think those 3 Untitled Marvel Studios projects could be. But like I said, Spider-Man Brand New Day had their first trailer drop last week, and everybody was blowing up about this. And apparently the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer is breaking records for the most viewed trailer of all time, breaking the GTA 6 trailer record, which was broken the Deadpool Wolverine trailer record. So, like, just breaking records for trailers here between Deadpool Wolverine, Spider-Man Brand New Day, and then GTA 6, of course, which who knows if we'll ever actually get that film or her game. But some of the images in that Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer, you know, we got Boomerang and this, like, stylized shot that's got to be on the movie poster of, like, Spider-Man going, you know, the classic Spider-Man whipping away pose. And then we have a very interesting shot of Spider-Man getting hurled towards some hand, like, people, but not all of the eye lines of the hand line up. So some people are thinking that maybe, just like the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, that there's some people edited out of these shots. Now, I can't say for sure if that's true or not, but then they also have this one Spider-Man Brand New Day shot that is recreating the first Spider-Man comic book appearance, which I think is like Amazing Fantasy 15 or something like that. But Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer was incredibly good, and I have a full breakdown up on the channel for that already that came out last week. Please go check that out because I put a lot of effort into it, and I just want to chat more with anybody that's a big fan of Spider-Man and excited about Spider-Man Brand New Day. So if you want to hear my full thoughts on that, go check out that video. But Daredevil Born Again drops tomorrow night, and they also announced that they will be doing an official podcast for Daredevil Born Again, and that came out, the first episode, on March 17th, and this is the little poster for it. And I believe the first episode was Brad Winderbaum and one of the showrunners on the show, and then I'm guessing episode 1, once the episode finally drops, will be Charlie and Vincent D'Onofrio, aka Daredevil and Kingpin. But this show, and of course there's also a comic book coming out with a partnership with Blaze Pizza, and it will be kind of like a comic book one-shot type of thing that's running alongside the show. So maybe the comic's the same thing, or maybe it's slightly different, or maybe it's just inspired by the show a little bit. But you can see that Charlie black suit that he's going to be wearing in Daredevil Born Again Season 2 on the cover there, and boy oh boy does it look good. But, you know, some interesting facts that I know I pointed out in the previous trailers about Daredevil Born Again in that suit is that it's the same red suit from season 1, but we barely saw that suit in season 1, so they're bringing it back, but he's got to be a little bit more stealthy this season. So it seems like he spray painted the black suit, and the more he fights in that black suit, the more that the red starts to get revealed. And Charlie himself particularly really liked this suit because it wasn't like any of the other Daredevil suits from the comics, and it's something that's particularly unique to the show, which I find awesome. But it's also awesome that like our boy Charlie is in this black and red suit. Like it's black and black and red, but now the red's poking through even more, but he still has that Daredevil logo on the chest, and he's going to have like a bunch of rebels behind him that's fighting with him, and he's got, you know, Brett Mahoney, and I think that's Detective Kim there, but also Karen and Jessica Jones by his side, ready to beat Fist's ass or wherever they are. I can't wait to see this show. But then there was also this little clip of Daredevil, and it looks like Matt pulling the tape off of the Daredevil suit, and like how the Daredevil double D on the chest is actually made, and he's like spray painting the thing, and he pulls off the double D to leave the red. Oh, I certainly hope Hot Toys give us a black and red Daredevil suit as well. I mean, I know you came out last year with the Daredevil red suit, and that's not even going to be in my hands until next year, but come on, I know, give us the black and red suit, please. But just to end out today's show, what could those 3 Untitled Marvel Studios movies that got added to the release slate, what could those films be? And the dates for those 3 films are July 28th of 2028, so we're talking July 2 years from now, May 4th of 2029, and July 13th of 2029. So I wonder if Marvel stole the May 4th, like May the 4th be with you, just so Star Wars has to kind of bargain with them to get that date. If not, you know, that's also the first week in May, which is also a big month for movies. And so July of 28 and 29, I'm thinking at the current moment that could be a Spider-Man Brand New Day sequel. You know, they normally try to space those out as much as possible so Sony has as much breathing room as possible. But, you know, if we're talking 26 of July for Spider-Man Brand New Day, 28 might be pushing it 2 years until that film comes out, but maybe 29. So maybe the 29 one could be a Spider-Man Brand New Day sequel. You know, so the 5th Spider-Man movie for Tom is what I'm thinking maybe those July dates could be. But then that still relieves one other July date and a May date. So I was really expecting to hear some release dates for 27, right? Because next year, what do we have coming from Marvel? Just Avengers Secret Wars coming December, which, you know, maybe Secret Wars gets bounced to July of 28 or something like that. But like, we really don't have a lot of movies coming next year, so maybe these don't include necessarily next year, because I think they're also working on like Doctor Strange 3 and Black Panther 3. Now, will Ryan Coogler be able to get a Black Panther 3 out before, you know, in between Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars? I'm not sure. Maybe they are trying to have us go to Avengers Doomsday and then wait a full year until the following Christmas to see Secret Wars, but that would break me internally. Like, you know, they would at least need to put out some shows in between that. But, you know, maybe if these aren't Spider-Man sequels or, you know, any Marvel movies getting moved, maybe these 3 films could be Doctor Strange 3, Black Panther 3, and then like Midnight Suns. Or if this is all taking place after Secret Wars, maybe this could be X-Men, a sequel to Fantastic Four First Steps, and then maybe Midnight Suns, and like maybe they'll start to build out their, you know, spooky side of the MCU, and maybe they'll continue on Ironheart and her story with Mephisto. I mean, I want all these things to culminate and be involved in Doomsday and Secret Wars, but I mean, if they're not going to do that and it's going to be after the fact, maybe we do get, you know, like a universe reset type of thing by the end of Secret Wars, and then we're able to start, you know, the X-Men and, you know, maybe a new Black Panther, maybe a new Iron Man, and like start from scratch, kind of, but still have elements of the old universe there. You know, I'm very curious to see what they do, but comment below your thoughts. Do you think these 3 Untitled movies could be? And, you know, we have their release dates, but what could the movies be? I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Marvel Studios, what are you guys up to over there? Adding 3 release dates to your slate, but we don't know what they are, and it also feels pretty far out there. So I'm thinking even in 27, we might still get a Doctor Strange 3, Black Panther 3, maybe even that Midnight Suns, maybe a Blade movie if they're want to do that, but if they bailed on Blade, maybe a Midnight Suns. We also know later this year, I think in August, we're going to be getting the Punisher special presentation that maybe could tie into the end of Spider-Man Brand New Day, or maybe ties into Born Again Season 1, and like maybe shows us how he ended up in Spider-Man, or vice versa. But I don't know. So part of me still thinks that Punisher and Daredevil both need to be in Season 2 of Born Again, and both need to be in Spider-Man Brand New Day. But Season 2 of Born Again comes out tomorrow, so I guess we'll find out very soon if Punisher's in the show or not. But there will be a Season 1 recap video coming out tomorrow before the Born Again Season 2 Episode 1 drops. And then I believe Wednesday will be my breakdown for Season 2 Episode 1 of Daredevil Born Again. So stay tuned for that, y'all, and comment below your thoughts about everything we talked about today. Or if you want to send them over to my other social medias, links for those down in the description below. And if you made it this far and you'd like to support the channel, the best way of doing that is dropping a like on this video, commenting down in the comment section below, subscribing if you haven't already, and hit that bell so you don't miss future Comically Boston podcasts every Monday where we discuss the weekly nerdy news. And I'll see you gorgeous folks in the next video. Peace.